Hello and welcome to Wind Reviews. I'm Wind, and you will sorely regret clicking on this video. Hi! Hopefully this will be one of many reviews where I go in haphazardly reviewing a subject. In this video, we're going to talk about Insecticide, Part 1. This is a game that is a mesh between a third-person platformer action shooter and a point-and-click adventure. That sounds interesting. Let's see if it succeeds. Insecticide is a story-driven action-adventure game by Crackpot Entertainment, along with Create Studios Incorporated and published by Gamecock Media Group. I'm just glad it doesn't look like a friggin' penis. The game was made for Nintendo DS, released on March 11th, 2008, and Windows PC, released on June 13th of the same year. The story was conceived by Mike Levine and Larry Ahern, whom were former and longtime employees of LucasArts, contributing to the company's library of classic graphic adventure titles. Also, the artists, designers, sound engineers, and composers that comprise the game's team are also former LucasArts employees. The PC version was to be released as 2 downloadable episodes, with a retail version following soon afterward, but Part 2 was never finished due to Gamecock being acquired by South Peak Games in 2008, and the latter deciding to cancel the title. Part 1 had been released by Gamecock through digital distribution channels such as Steam. South Peak did, however, publish a retail version for the first episode as part of a PC Classics budget line in 2010. Though despite the lack of funding for Part 2, Crackpot has finished and uploaded the cinematics for Part 2 on their official YouTube page. Crackpot stated that they were interested in finishing Part 2 and even expanding the Insecticide franchise to another medium such as an animated series. The game takes place in the crime-ridden city of Troy, in a world where insects have evolved into the dominant life forms and humans have degenerated into what is known as hominids. Though that's not explained in the game all that well. It's not even hinted at how things came to be the way they are. The story follows 2 police officers from the Insecticide division as they try to solve a murder at the Nectarola soft drink company. The player takes on the role of the protagonist, Detective Chris List, the tough, curious, street-smart cop. And yes, I am well aware that her name is a pun. Almost all of them are. Moving on. Oh, and lest I forget, she has a mysterious past. Her memory is murky before her life on the streets of Troy, save for a few bad dreams involving mysterious figures experimenting on her. If you don't think this has anything to do with the story, then you haven't been paying attention to any story thus far. Also, what kind of bug is she? It's not very clear just by looking at her what she is, and even the game doesn't know. You look at her case file and it says, I don't know. Other characters in the story are Detective Rochi Carruthers. Can you guess what type of bug he is? That's right! He's a water beetle! He's Chris's partner. He's one of the veterans of the department and whom has been shot 47 times in the line of duty, and he'll be the one doing most of the noir-esque voiceovers for the game. Madam Hazel Quinby, CEO of Nectarola Company, maker of Troy's most popular and only beverage, Nectarola. Coca-Cola would love to be the only game in town, too. Oh, and did I forget to mention she's a bee? Must have slipped my mind. Both Quinby and Rochi have history together involving a missing persons case where Quinby's only heir to the Nectarola company was kidnapped, or egg-napped, or whatever it is. Anyway, the egg was never recovered and believed to be lost or destroyed. Could somebody in the cast be the missing heir? My money's on it being Rochi. There are other characters in the game, but they are so minor that it's pointless to even mention them. The people of the precinct where the 2 main characters work, the witnesses, and even the suspects are so minor that you may think that there's only 3 people in the city, and goons just randomly appear out of nowhere. Anyway, the game starts off with an ad for Nectarola with the company HQ in the background. We then fade from the ad to the real city with Rochi narrating about the current case and the suspect he and Chris are chasing down.
All that we were chasing was a low-level arms buyer, connected to a string of bombings my partner and I were onto.
And I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do here, but everyone in the scene, with the exception of Chris, is shot in shadow or odd close-up. I guess they were trying to hide the fact that everyone is a bug? But Chris isn't in the shadows, and you can't tell me she looks like a normal human. That hair is just awful. Anywho, Chris manages to catch up to the suspect to reveal that, holy crap, he's a bug! Oh wait. And even if you didn't know what you were getting into, they didn't really hide the fact that Chris is a bug. Anyway, the perp spits at our heroes, hitting Rochi. That's 48 shots, 2 more, and he can get himself a sub sandwich. Then the spitter runs off, starting our gameplay. Now let's see how this game handles. W, A, S, and D are the standard movement keys, along with Q and E for turning the character, if you don't feel like using the mouse. Though there is no look up or down as a button combination. Space is jump, and right mouse button is 2. Sure, why not? Fire is left mouse button and right control. The mouse wheel in 1 through 6 changes your guns. And F and enter are your action button. We jump from rooftop to rooftop, chase the perp, and shoot through some clones? Now this is a common thing in games. The modelers don't have time or the money to model different characters because of constraints of the publisher or just to cut corners. You can look back to some of the older games and see this practice used a lot. But even they took the time to make different colors to at least have the illusion of a diverse group, and this will be a recurring theme throughout the game. Anyway, you shoot a few and then you run into...
We got a bomb here, Rochi.
Yeah, Chief Chica says a soda bomb is hitting all over the city. You gotta defuse it, kid.
Wonderful.
They ain't complicated, just grab them and pull out the wires.
Wait, what? Soda bombs? What is it, rigged with Mentos and a vibrator? And what kind of bomb is diffused by just yanking out the wires? That should cause it to explode right away. Anyway, doing so gives you an adrenaline boost, I think. I don't really notice any changes when I pick them up. You get to the end and have to shoot a bunch of clones leading to the next cinematic. Also, I'd like to mention that I've got subtitles on, and at no point do I see any subtitles during the cinematic. What the hell? I choose subtitles because sometimes the background noise can be louder than the voice acting if you don't play with the options first. And that option is there for people who are hard of hearing or deaf. Anyway, Chris corners the spit bug down an alley in front of a truck, but... Wait, who are these shadowy figures? I don't know, but look, they're also in a dream sequence. We jump to earlier that night. Oh god, I'm gonna have to play that section over again. Chris, asleep at her desk, is awakened by cop cliché number 16, the yelling police chief, also known as Chief Chigger. He yells about where the case files are on the soda bomber, and this is where you play the point-and-click investigation game. You have to talk to the others in the station to get photos of the bombings from the rhinoceros beetle who rhymes with every sentence, a witness list from Rochi with some old coffee and a creamer that's been sitting in his desk for so long that it's been collecting some sort of fungus. A report on how the bombs could have been constructed happens to be underneath the wasp's abdomen, and a statement from a hominid they have in custody. All he says is, Artie has to go. And that's really all he says. And now here's another audio problem I've got. Just listen to this transition from the game to the cinematic.
Hey kid, how do you spell ba-boom? I want you two incompetents down to the Nectarola building now! There's been a murder!
Yeah, what the hell? They couldn't keep the volume consistent between gameplay and cinematics? Anyway, moving on. There has been a murder at the Nectarola HQ, and Rochi has been requested by the CEO Quinby. As Rochi and Chris drive to the crime scene, we get some exposition on Rochi and Quinby's past. We get to the crime scene and find out that Quimby's advisor has been killed. So it turns out the robot bug was loaded with a histamine. What's a histamine? I don't know. It's a mine with a greenish smoke. But it turns out that it's a dud.
Must be a dud.
And also, how you get to this point was asinine. You run to the back, go above the stage on the catwalk to investigate, but before you can do that, you have to talk to a robot that's blocking the stairs. You can't tell the robot to move, so you ask the director to move it. He does. You wander around, get stuck, can't find any clues, go online, find out that you need a key that was on the robot. And you can only get it by telling the director to tell the robot to take a bow, to then grab the key. But looking at the key, there is no fucking way that you could have missed it, even if the robot was standing upright. And how the flying ass crack was I supposed to know that I needed this fucking key? I don't know a goddamn thing about this world, so how should I know that this not shaped like a key was what I was looking for? Why couldn't you use a wrench or a screwdriver? But instead they made up some tool that has no comparison in the real world. And I know that point and clicks have silly and stupid puzzles, but this is just bullshit. If you're gonna bring an item that's gonna be new to anyone, you tell them how it works, or give them an explanation on how it's used, or what's needed, or what they need to use, or Okay, so now you turn in your evidence, and so far Chris has found a knife and a lockbox that was used to cut the rope of the robot to drop on the victim. It also seems to have stick bug claw marks. The histamine in the robot, the sandbag that was holding up the robot before the rope was cut, and a piece of a wing. Hell, they even explain why this is important. There are very few insects that have wings in the world that can fly, and they mostly hide their wings under baggy clothes. For some reason, flying is out of style. You know, I don't really care what reality you're in, but being able to fly is friggin' awesome! Chris shows the evidence to Rochi, who says he might have a lead on who might have planted the mine. A guy called Jimmy Sticks McGillicuddy.
Guess what? He's a stick bug. What are the odds, huh? Let's check him out.
You know, before we continue with the story, I've got a few things I want to talk to you guys about. The dialogue during the gameplay is just off. Everyone is a ventriloquist. It's not uncommon for animation to not match up with the audio during gameplay, but their mouths don't even move half the time. Was funding really that bad? And then some of the bugs have humanoid facial features, and then others don't. The guys at the police station have such features, but the bees here, other than Quimby, look like bees. Okay, that kind of sounded stupid out loud, but you can see what I mean. What was the design decision behind that anyway? Why make some of them have expressive facial features while the others don't? What could possibly... Oh. Yeah, that would do it. Alright, let's continue with the story. We see Chris and Rochi on a stakeout waiting for their target. Chris gets bored waiting and falls asleep, giving us another dream sequence where we see a little more but not much. Rochi then wakes her up to talk to the stick bug that he mentioned earlier. They walk up to the door that their suspect just went through, and...
Hey, Sticks! What's the skinny? Open up!
Worst knock-knock joke ever! And now we're up to 49. Just one more, Rochi. It's all you need. Sticks runs away, dropping the shotgun as he goes. Yeah, they don't call it a shotgun, but that's what it is. Chris gives chase and fights through an army of clones that looks like Sticks. Well, at least these guys are wearing red shirts instead of white. Wait a minute. She gets through the endless number of gang members and catches up with the bug that could have vital clues for the case. And that leads us to the next level. Sticks seems to have somehow stepped on a pile of mines. Alright, how the hell could you have missed that? Our heroes catch up and start asking questions. At this point you can ask questions about how he's involved in the murder, though there really is no point. This whole conversation could have been done in a cutscene. All you have to do is blunder your way through and you'll be done in no time. He tells you that he recently sold a few mines to a guy at a diner, but the way the transaction was made, he can't really identify the suspect. But he's due to sell the same guy more tonight. We now have a cutscene. Something that should have happened sooner. Chris throws Styx her radio to call for the allergen squad. Now this part bothers me. She throws it in a way to force Styx to step off the mine, activating it. What the hell? She's a cop. You're not supposed to kill the suspects. Maybe in self-defense, but this guy was trapped on a mine. What danger were you two in? Okay, he just swells up like a balloon, but if they weren't dangerous, then what the hell was the big deal about the histamine in the robot? Shit, she just rolls her eyes and makes a joke about it. The fuck? Our heroes, ladies and gentlemen. 4 minutes that could have been shortened to 1 or 2 with a cutscene. On to the next level. Yep, that was an entire level. I'm not fucking kidding. We arrive at the diner, but Rochi is worried that he could give away their intent, causing the suspect to flee. So Chris has to find clues by herself. Yeah, Rochi doesn't really do anything in this game. And this is where things get really weird, or fucked up, that depends on your point of view. Where do I start? Well, actually, my biggest problem is with the food. Well, mostly the food. I mean, just listen to some of these descriptions.
What we used to call at the academy, SOS. Scorpion on a shingle. At least he's got a side of wasabi. Salad with the louse dressing. I guess he's saving room for that big, rich dessert he's got waiting for him. Death by maggot. Double order of French fried cicadas, topped with creamery butterfly. Jar of thrips. Honey mustard flavor, pre-digested fly meal, freeze-dried mosquito pops. It's a bin of, ingredients for dung beetle surprise. And barrels of pickled termites. They're labeled insect appendages, nuggets, gizzard, and filler.
That sounds good, doesn't it? Anyway, Chris asks if the waitress has seen any of the patrons the night before.
I honestly can't tell you, hon. After a while, all the arachnids look the same to me. Don't take that the wrong way.
No offense taken.
Shit, I'm offended I'm not an arachnid. Also, arachnids are spiders, scorpions, ticks, and other such arthropods. Fucking racist. There are also 3 patrons in the diner. We've got 2 clones, though one has a shorter antenna and possibly a swollen eye, and what looks like a shady used car salesman. Well, clone 1 is just a douche whose mandibles you just want to break. And clone 2 is an asshole. Yeah, that's it. I prefer clone 2 to clone 1, but not by much. Also, he's eating that wonderful dessert, death by maggots. And the used car salesman...
Bob Weevil, Weevil Insurance.
Oh, he's an insurance salesman. Close enough. Maybe he's the guy I'm looking for. He seems more unique than the other 2. Where was he last night?
No, last night I was on the job, helping one of my clients deal with termite damage.
Termite damage?
Yeah, see, this termite lives in the condo above my client. Termite goes out last night, leaves his bathtub running. Water comes down through the ceiling, bam, floods my client's whole place.
Oh, with a... Wait, what? Wait, termites are just like everyone else? What the fucking ass bitch hell piss tick cock? Pickled termites are... termites! What the flying holy hell is going on? If termites are just like the other anthropomorphic bugs, then why are you eating them? This seems like a moral dilemma. Are they an oppressed people? They can't be pets because you just told us that one of them caused water damage by forgetting to turn off their plumbing. And I don't know of any pets that can turn on a bathtub and block the drain at the same time. They must be an oppressed people. Friends and fellow termites and arthropods, we shall march upon the streets of the capital and demand the freedom of the termite race. We, and by we, I do not mean only we in Troy, but all the world, have neglected termite rights. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Chris finds out who the buyer is by comparing last night's receipts and the handwriting from the game cards for Count the Thurps in the Jar. It's actually an interesting idea. Though I would have preferred if you, the player, actually had to compare the handwriting. Anyway, she finds out that the guy eating the delicious death by maggots. Yum. Oh, and his name is Artie. It seems the hominid was talking about this schmuck here. Also, she gets him to confess in the stupidest way possible.
Mine was a dud. It didn't go off.
What? You're kidding! Oh, splat, I'm in trouble. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean...
And he wasn't the only one. Styx was slipping up too. Though I guess you can make the argument that Styx was under pressure because of his situation with the landmines. But this guy doesn't. He's just sitting there, being an ass, but also being calm, not giving anything away, even when there's evidence supporting the fact that he was there the night before. Also, I forgot to mention it before, but the robot back at the crime scene only says,
"An explosion of cherry flavor."
Yeah, I forgot about it because, well... yeah, that. Anyway, for some reason she says this, and that just seems to flip his shit. He jumps on the counter and holds the waitress hostage. And Chris snaps him out of it by either dropping or threatening to drop the... death by maggot cake. I'm salivating here. Though I have to say, I don't know if the event is timed or you do have to use the cake, but it looks like it doesn't really matter because the bug mechs open up the top of the diner with a can opener. This is the real-world item they used. The not key could have been changed to a real-world item, but no! It's this. No, we're not going back there again. No, find a happy place. Find a happy place. Moving on with the story. The bug mechs grab Artie and then somehow lose him. Well, shit. Kinda dropped the ball on that one, didn't I? Chris chases Artie through the docks and fights her way through bug mechs. At least them looking copy-pasted makes sense. Their mech suits look mass-produced. She also picks up a soda launcher and some histamines to add to her arsenal. And we finally get back to the point where she corners him in the alley right where we left off. The truck then barrels towards the two, running over Artie along the way and heading straight for Chris. Move? Chris? Chris, you might want to move, just a little to the left, to the right. Am I supposed to do something for a quick time event? Because we haven't been doing any... Whoa! That was kind of badass. Although she didn't have a stupid yet witty one-liner. And then the window didn't really break, so I don't know why they swerved, and the bullets didn't even hit any of them. So the truck crashes and the mechs walk out like it's nothing. Like a boss. And Rochi, being his useful self, jumps into the sewers, leaving you to take care of the robots up top. It's at this point you get a nectar cannon. That I really didn't use too much because I thought I was saving it for later. Around the street there are manhole covers with mechs hiding under them. You can't really shoot the bastards with any of the guns. Hell, I even tried to use the damn cannon on them, but that didn't really help any. They just drop back down. You have to use the damn mines. Also, I was a bit confused as to where I was supposed to go, though I did figure it out later. 30 minutes later. Anyway, you turn on the tram system and a giant robot spider attacks you. At that point, you get another gun that shoots amber that you use to stick the spider to the train tracks, and then BOOM! No more spider. One cutscene later, Chris, Rochi, and a bug mech watch as the spider just kind of wigs out a bit. Then one of the spider's legs smacks the helmet off the mech, revealing that hominids have been in them the entire time. Though without the helmet, things get a little messy. Huh. So without the suits, hominids just explode. Interesting. Why is the goo green? And you can't tell me that's mucus because his head is gone. What's on them is cranial matter.
So this left us with a murder, a string of bombings, a deranged acid-spitting bug, some exploding soda cans, an army of robo-suited hominids, a splitting headache. How those hominids figured into Chris's nightmares, we had no idea. But hey, who says dreams don't...
Wait, that's it? Well, crap. Well, anyway, time for my favorite joke in the game. Ha! Let's start with the options. They're very limited on what can be changed. In the audio, you've got 3 options to play with: voice, music, and master volume. In the video options, you do have your resolution, shadows, reflections, bloom, window mode, and subtitles. For a lot of people, this isn't going to be graphically intensive. The gameplay... well, the gameplay is, well, it's bad. Not horrible, mind you, but definitely not good. The game in general is really easy. Dying doesn't really have any consequence. You get shot, you head back to the last checkpoint. You fall to your death, checkpoint. Get blown up, checkpoint. Combat is easy as well. The projectiles move slow enough to dodge, and almost every enemy drops something. The shooting is okay. It's standard third-person shooting. Nothing really new. Standard starting gun, shotgun, grenade launcher, mines, minigun, and amber gun? The movement is okay. Not great, just okay. The platforming is... meh. There's not a lot of spots that require you to jump on thin platforms to get to a higher place, thankfully. The investigation sections of the game are like a watered-down version of a point-and-click adventure. You'll have your easy puzzles, your moderately difficult puzzles, and then... asinine bullshit puzzles too. There are indications on the minimap that tells you where you can take a closer look during your investigations, and yeah, we don't really get an ending, and it's quite clear that Part 2 is never coming out. At the time of this video, it's 2012. It's really a shame when a storyteller, or in this case storytellers, can't finish the story. Granted, the story is predictable, but there were points where I didn't see a certain element coming. But I'm actually more interested in the world, even though they don't talk about how things got to this point. I think we could have had a better story involving the backstory of the world, maybe a hominid trying to bring the world back to the way things used to be, with humans on top. They've already made hominids a second-class citizen in the game. That could have been a reason for an insane hominid trying to take over the world. Maybe they were hoping for a sequel, and that would have been the game that explains how the world works. The game is bad. The gameplay is mediocre at best. It's too easy to just blunder one's way through the action levels, and I can see the target audience for this getting stuck on the detective sections, especially with that yellow bendy straw key. And the graphics during the gameplay are just poorly done. I know this was made for both the PC and the DS, but this just feels like it was just made on the DS and then ported over to the PC. I mean, it feels kind of lazy. What could possibly be the... oh, screw you. Once again, money solving all of our problems. Wait. Though I don't have a problem with the main story, it's more to the same. It's not hard to see some of the twists coming a mile away. They also don't explain what's going on in the world. Seriously, what the hell is going on with the world? Why are the bugs as big as humans? Why are the humans forced to live in hazmat suits? Why are flying bugs a rare thing? And what bugs are and are not sentient? I want to know! Things get a little confusing at times, if not surreal, but I'm more interested in the world than the main story. Though that really shouldn't be happening. I think, though, this series probably would have done better in another medium. This world could have survived as a comic or an animated show instead, and the bad gameplay doesn't really help. If you're interested in the story, Michael Levine posted the cinematics on his YouTube account, and if for some reason you want to play this game, I would really recommend against it. You can find it on Steam for $2.99. And that has been my review of Insecticide Part 1. I've been Wind, and join me in my next video. What will that be? I'm not sure yet. But you'll find out soon enough. Later, kids.
Wait! Where are you going? Coming soon! Don't miss Part 2! See Jews in space!
Jews are in space. Wir zoomen along, protecting the Hebrew race.